Hi guys. So today is day 6. So you should only be here if you've done all the steps up till up till now and have gotten the okay in between each step. So today we're going to put our mouth in. So I have the drawing I've been working on. I put my eyes and my nose in, and now I need to put in my mouth. So we started with the eyes because we are going off of the eyes as our true. So everything that we do, we're going to measure it off the eyes. Now, something that I didn't discuss in the last video when you were doing your nose, which I could have to show you, is that since our eye is the true, we could have actually measured our eye with a pencil. And then how many eyes before I get to the bottom of my nose, and it looks like it's about 1.5 sideways eyes, or you could do it this way, but that's a more technical way to do it, is to actually measure things, and you can do that on your drawing as well. I don't tend to do it. I kind of eyeball it and measure it with my eyes instead, but feel free. It's not cheating. It's just another tool to use to actually measure stuff. Whether you're using a pencil or an actual ruler, that's fine. Measuring is fine. It's just another tool in your box that you can use. I just don't happen to use it. So today we're going to do our mouth, and again we're going off of our eyes. So the first thing that I'm going to look at is I'm going to see if I am to the middle of my pupils like most are. And when I say it's the farthest extent of your mouth, it would be where your line ends when your mouth is closed. Okay, if I were to draw a line up, does that come right to the middle of my pupils? And I'm going to look at that now just to see. And I can take a pencil or something to measure it just to see. So if I were to put my pencil at the edge of my mouth, I can see if it comes up to the middle of my pupil. And if it does, then I have that to go by. I think it's a little in. It's not quite. So I'm going to take it to the inside of my pupil. I mean the inside a little tiny bit. And I'm just redrawing the line that I had drawn before. And not by much, really by a 1/4 of a centimeter even, not very much. And that's where I'm going to put the very corners of my mouth. Okay, we're going to start by drawing the line, not the lips, because you guys automatically want to put on like lipstick lips, and we don't want to do that. We want to actually deal with our mouth as far as values go. I don't have lipstick on right now. I know that my top lip is going to be darker than my bottom lip because light hits my bottom lip. The flesh on my mouth is a little tiny bit different than the skin on my face, but not a ton. As you can see, my bottom lip kind of blends right into my face. The top lip, you'll see a little bit more of a distinct difference in color. But the bottom lip kind of blends right in. And so we're going to deal with value more than line here as well. So I'm just, the first thing, the definite line, the one definite line we do have in our mouth is the line between the two lips. So I'm just going to put that in. And by saying that, this is a very important part of who you are as far as drawing you. And I'll show you what I mean. So for me, I kind of go down a little bit, not much. So the line between my mouth just goes down a little bit. I don't have much differentiation, where some of you might have something that's a little more like this, as that line in the middle, where this little peak comes down a little bit. Some of you might actually have it even more defined. And I'll show you what I mean. Where your corners come up and that peak is a little bit more. So that's what you're going to do right now. Is you are going to the first step you need to do is figure out where you're going to put that line. Is it exactly in between the bottom of your nose and your chin? And second of all, you're going to decide on what it looks like. Do your corners come up do your corners go down? Do you have a dip in the middle? Do you have a black? Sometimes you'll have like a very dark shadow because it might actually go up in the middle on the top lip and down on the bottom, causing a very dark shadow in there. You have to look at that. Again, this is why it will help if you put your picture in Google Classroom so that I can look and compare and see if you actually captured it. So the first thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to decide on if what hits at halfway between the bottom of my nose and my chin. I know it's going to hit my mouth somewhere, but is it the line? Is it my bottom lip? What actually hit? So that's my first thing. So I'm going to look at that, and I'm going to look closely at myself. And I have to try to think honestly. So I can measure this. I can take my pencil, put it to the bottom of my nose, figure out where the bottom of my chin is. So that's my pencil. Now, halfway on this pencil would be right here. So if I were to go back, it shows halfway to be right under my bottom lip. So that means now I have to consider how thick is that bottom lip, because I need to go up that far, because the halfway mark is right at the bottom of my bottom lip. So I'm going to go up what I understand to be my bottom lip. So if I look at it and I measure it compared to my eye, I notice that it's not quite as wide as my eye. It's a little more, a little smaller than my eye, but not a lot. So I'm going to go just under an eye height there. So if this is the halfway, I'm going to go up, and this is how wide my eye is. I'm going to go up about 3/4 of an eye. And that would be right there. And I'm going to decide that that is where the middle line is going to be. That's what I'm putting in first. So I'm going to look at my mouth very, very closely in the mirror, decide on the shape, and put that in. And I'm going to start in the middle, because then I can go out on either side. Because remember, again, we are not symmetrical beings. So we might go down a little further on one side than the other. So that's what I'm going to look at now. And I'm looking very intently. It's hard to talk and do this, obviously. I'm pretty straight for a good portion of the mouth, and then it just slightly tips down at the end. But not a lot. If I go too far, I know that I'll make myself look miserable, and I don't want that. But it's only the very end. And it's just ever so slight. So that would be my middle line, the line in between my two lips. That's the first thing. So go ahead and put that in while I get rid of this other guideline. Okay. You can pause whenever you need to pause if you're concentrating and trying to get something done. I'm just going to go on because I only have 15 minutes on these tapes. So the next thing I need to decide is how wide my lip is. And I already said I was deciding that it was about 3/4 of an eye. So I'm going to put that back in there. But I'm not putting the lip in there. I'm not drawing a lip in there. The only thing I'm going to put in there is this little shadow for now. Just a little bit. And not a ton of it. Okay? And it goes down. It curves down a little bit. That's just to show where the placement of my bottom lip is. Now the top lip's going to have a little more definition just because the top lip is usually a little bit darker. But I'm going to go light. I'm using my HB. Use your lightest pencil that you have. It's probably just a writing pencil and that's fine. But I'm going to go light to just kind of put in the shape. Now this is another thing that's important as far as the shape of mouths is how does your top lip meet your middle line? So if you notice when my mouth is closed, my top lip does not come all the way to my middle line. So look. Kind of comes to there before it flattens out. Some of you will come all the way. Some of you, and we also have to consider the Cupid's bow. What shape is that? Is it very sharp? Is it a curved U? Do you not have one at all? These are all things to look at. So we could have something where we have a curved, a very lightly curved one where the lips are full and come all the way to the very edge of the mouth. Notice how light I am here. Okay. We could have one where the lips are not very full at all, and they're very thin, and this is more of a V shape, and the lips kind of taper out quicker. They don't come all the way to the end. You could have something where it's a more definitive kind of Cupid's bow, and the lips come just to the edge where they curl up. These are all different shapes that you might be seeing on your different mouths. Okay, so these are the things that we're trying to figure out what's happening in your mouth. So I'm going to do mine quickly. We're running out of time. And I'm going to look at how far down. Notice how far it is. I have quite the area between the bottom of my nose and the top of my lip. How far down is it? So it's pretty far, giving me a thinner top lip. My Cupid's bow, it's average. It's not too big, not too small. And as we discussed, my lips kind of peter out a little bit before we get there to the end. Not much. Okay. That's kind of what I have for my mouth. I'm going to faintly put in the shape of my bottom lip because my bottom lip is, when I say faint, I mean wow faint. Okay. And that's just to give me an idea for the bottom lip. All right. I think my, it comes down a little bit further. So I'm just adjusting as I go. And as I said, I'm not erasing, but I noticed that this side, which it's the opposite side, so it might not look right to you, comes down a little bit further. And this lip closes out a little earlier. So this is all you're going to do is adjust until you're happy. This side looks a little straighter than I have it. Be careful as you're making your adjustments not to change the size, meaning the length. Ugh. All right, so I'm just going to keep going and adjusting my mouth as I see fit until I'm happy. So that's all I have for this week, is that we just put our features in for now. We're going to start dealing with value a little bit next week, which is going to start to flesh us out. Once you get these features in and you're happy, you can erase all these guidelines. You don't need them anymore. So I'm just going in and just taking them all out so that it's just right now we just have a contour drawing. Try to keep your lines light as possible. And we're going to go in and we're going to, as far as the ears, we'll get to that. As I said, it's a hair issue with that. And we can also adjust the jawline as we have. Look and see how far your mouth is from the side of your face. Okay, that's important. Like I look like I have to adjust